Hi everybody. For today's practice, we are going to be establishing some core awareness. We're going to be establishing some awareness and structure in our pelvis, and that is going to really build our foundation for proper alignment that is going to help us as we build into our yoga practice. So you're going to go ahead and begin on your back. So make your way down onto your back. And there are a few things we're going to take into consideration while we are setting ourselves up here. So we have three major points of contact that we're looking to connect with. We've got our pelvis, the back of our pelvis, the sacrum, that fused part of the pelvis right on the back. And then you have the shoulder blades and then the back of the head. So this is establishing us with the natural curves of our spine. And then we want our heels in line with our hips and our knees in line with those 2 points as well. Now, we don't need our feet too close here. We're actually going to walk our feet away a little bit such that when we extend our arms, we can place our hands on the tops of our thighs, but those arms are fully extended. So go ahead and set yourself up here. And then I want you to kind of grab the back of your skull, and you're going to lightly pull the skull away from your shoulders a little bit. This is going to tuck your chin a little, and you want to feel this length through the back of your neck. Start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And then you're going to place your hands on either side of your rib cage. So first we're going to focus on some diaphragmatic full breaths. And so as you draw that breath in through the nose and out through the nose, I want you to see if you can get your rib cage to expand up and out. So as you breathe in, you feel the hands lift and also move a little bit out to the sides. And then when you exhale, the rib cage closes back down. Keep breathing here. Those hands giving you feedback as to what the rib cage and the diaphragm are doing. And exhale. Now I want you to notice as you do this, the belly isn't lifting too much. The expansion and the space is being created in the ribs. One more time here. Beautiful. Now, we're going to continue to kind of use our hands to give us feedback as to what our body is doing. We're going to place the heels of our hands on our hip bones, also known as the ASIS, the ASIS, anterior superior iliac spine. So the heels of the hands are going to go on those hip bones. And then from here, you're going to take your hands, place them on your pelvis such that your pointer fingers are pointing down toward your pubic bone, and then your thumbs are pointed up towards your belly button. This is going to create kind of a diamond shape with your hands. And this is going to help you establish your neutral pelvis. It's also going to help you check in with what your core is doing. So now that you're here, turn on your glutes just a little bit. So a little light engagement of the glutes, and then also a little bit of engagement in the core. Now, if you can tuck your chin and maybe peek at your hands,
What you want to see is and then go ahead and bring the head back down. You want your thumbs and your pointer fingers, your hands, to be on a flat plane. This is giving us that feedback that our pelvis is nice and neutral. Now, what you're going to do is we're going to play around with the angle of our pelvis. And so first I want you to see if you can lift your belly up and point your pubic bone down so that your hip points lift. This is an anteriorly tilted pelvis. So this is where a lot of us actually stand, is with this orientation, which isn't a very structurally efficient place to begin. So go ahead and come back to that neutral pelvis. And then in the opposite direction, you're going to tuck your tailbone as much as you can, gluing the low back down, lifting your pubic bone and having your hip bones come down. This is going to be posteriorly tilted. So this is when our pelvis is tilted toward our back body. And this again is not giving us a neutral foundation. So with your hands still in that diamond position, go ahead and move back and forth in between these two ends of the spectrum. So posterior tilt all the way into anterior tilt a couple times just to feel these different positions. And then find your neutral pelvis. And then I want you to imagine with that diamond, I want you to engage the muscles of your core, of your side bodies, of your hips. And I want you to imagine everything pulling in and drawing in toward your midline. Now, it doesn't have to be something incredibly straining, but we want it to be active and we want to imagine everything pulling, drawing in. This is going to help us maintain this structure and this strength in the pelvis. Now, keeping this engagement, you're going to drive into the balls of your feet and just lift the heels. You're not going to be able to lift them too high, but go ahead and do so and try not to let your pelvis shift, and then release the hips back down. Same thing, lift the heels, driving into the big toe ball mound. So on the inside of your feet, driving into that point right beneath your big toes, and then heels come down. One more time, neck, rib cage, pelvis, everything staying neutral as you lift the heels. And then come back down. Now you're going to keep your left hand where it is. You're going to take your peace fingers, your pointer finger and your middle finger, and you're going to put them in your right hip crease. Now, from here, keeping your pelvis neutral, lift your right leg coming into hip flexion. So that right leg lifts up. Feel that hip crease come together without shifting the pelvis, and then bring that right leg down. We're going to do that 2 more times. Lift the right leg and back down, and lift the right leg and back down. Right hand comes back down to the pelvis, left peace fingers into the left hip crease. So right where your leg meets your pelvis, that is your hip joint. And then lift that left leg coming into true hip flexion without moving the pelvis, and down 2 more. Lift up. What is that diamond doing? Are you active? Are you squeezing, drawing everything in? And down and up and down. Now both sets of peace fingers go in the hip creases, and we're going to march it out back and forth. So flexing each hip, each side, one at a time. Diamond continues to draw in. Stay aware and stay active. Couple more each side, just marching it out back and forth. And then go ahead and bring those feet back down to rest. If you want to check in with your alignment really quick, place the hands on the tops of the thighs and make sure the arms are straight so you're not in with the legs too close here. Now we're going to manipulate the upper body a little bit. So we're going to move the arms around, trying to keep that neutral pelvis. So what tends to happen is as soon as we lift our arms up above our head, we tend to get this flaring of the rib cage. Our rib cage comes undone, it opens up, and you can see that that puts me in anterior tilt. So my hip bones come forward, my pubic bone goes back, and I'm in an anterior tilted position. So what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to breathe and move and still maintain this strong, structured, neutral posture with our rib cage and with our pelvis. So collect the diamond, draw everything in, keeping that rib cage closed down. Arms are going to go down by the sides with the thumbs pointing up. So long levers down by the sides. Again, draw that diamond, everything squeezing in towards your midline. Imagine you have something in between your legs, so your knees aren't kind of hanging out or going off in either direction. Knees are still in line with the hip bones. Now, keeping the rib cage closed down and the pelvis in neutral, you're going to slowly move the arms all the way up above the head. Now, only go so far as you can maintain this posture. If you go to a point where your rib cage opens up, you don't have to go that far. Just go to that edge. If you can go all the way so that those thumbs connect to the floor, then you can go ahead and go there. And then you're going to bring the arms all the way back down. Check in with the back of the neck as you do this. So the tendency is for the chin to start to lift up as well. Tuck that chin down and lift the arms. Keep collecting that diamond down and in, arms up above just as far as you can maintain posture, and then float down. We're going to do 2 more just like that. Really mindful, very aware movement here. 1 more time. Finding the edge, wherever it may be, and then coming back. Now, neutral pelvis, lift that right leg and go ahead and spread your toes here. So we're stretching through the fascia of the feet a little bit, opening up through the toes, and then extend that leg just as much as it'll go. You're going to feel a little stretch through the hamstring. You're also getting a stretch through the foot. So we're starting to open things up a little bit, and then reach your right hand up, and you're going to take your left hand and pull down gently on the right fingers. So we're opening up through that right hand and through the right forearm. Still moving that breath strong in through the nose, out through the nose. Go ahead and release the hands and release that right leg down. Lift the left leg coming into flexion, and then leg extension. Spread those left toes, extend the left arm up. Right hand catches those left fingers and gently pulls back, stretching through the front of that left forearm as well as the hand and the wrist, creating some space. And then release the hand, release that left leg, checking in with the pelvis, with the rib cage. We're going to move into some core. So we want to make sure we're beginning from that very solid foundation. You're going to take the hands, interlacing the fingers and cupping the back of the skull. So where your skull comes down and attaches to your neck, to that cervical spine, that's where you're going to place your hands and cup here. We do want the hands to support the skull without pulling ourselves up. Then you're going to take your elbows, you're going to bring your elbows in so that your elbows are reaching up toward the ceiling. While we're moving through this core, we're trying to access the deep core. We don't want to strain through the neck. And one key that's going to help us avoid that is when we come up, take your gaze toward your belly button. So if you keep your chin up, then that is going to lead to more strain in the neck. Now, from this neutral pelvis, neutral rib cage position, flex through the hips and lift the knees to stack the knees over the hips. Then extend the legs up. Imagine you have something that you're holding in between your legs, so your legs are very structured, inner thighs are turned on, little spread of the toes up top. Now, try not to have your knees too far forward because that's going to bring us into a posterior tilt. Try and keep that neutral pelvis with the knees stacked right over the hips. Legs don't have to be totally extended. Take an inhale here at the bottom, and then exhale, lift the shoulder blades up off of the mat. Holding here at the top for 3, 2, if you can hold that exhale, 1, and then inhale, come down. Exhale, lift, squeeze. Holding at the top for 3, 2, 1. Inhale, come down. One more time, just like that. Inhale, lift, or inhale at the bottom, and exhale, lift, squeeze. Holding the shoulder blades up, holding here for 3, 2, 1. And inhale back down. Keep those legs up there. If you do need to take a break ever, that's okay, but if you can hold, then go ahead and hold. Now we're gonna add on, take one of your hands, those peace fingers, and place them on your hip crease. We're going to move the legs a little bit now, while still trying to maintain an active core and a neutral pelvis. So inhale here at the bottom, and then exhale, lift the shoulder blades, lift the back of the head. Now from here, float your legs away a couple inches from your hip crease, and then come back and inhale down. Exhale, lift the shoulder blades, lift the back of the head, gaze to the belly button, float the legs away 2 inches, and bring the legs back, and on an inhale, come down. If you can hold that exhale at the top, exhale, hold, keep exhaling, float the legs away, keep exhaling, holding, come back, and then inhale, come down. Go ahead and bring your hand back to the back of the head. We're going to add on one more time. Don't worry too much about the breath, just make sure that when you come down, you're inhaling, and when you come up, you are exhaling. Take an inhale here, and exhale, lift the shoulder blades, lift, squeeze, float the legs away 2 inches, doesn't have to be a big move. Bring the legs back, reach the fingertips up towards your toes, lift your shoulder blades a little higher, try and keep your pelvis neutral. And go ahead and inhale, come all the way back down. Exhale, right away, lift back up. Float the legs away 2 inches. And bring those legs back, reach the arms up, fingertips lift the shoulder blades 1 more inch higher, deep core engaged, and come all the way back down. Go ahead and release the feet down with control. Coming back to that starting position. Now, from here, you're going to drop both knees over to the left. But as you do so, keep your shoulder blades grounded. Place your right hand on your right hip bone. Press into your right foot to lift that right hip a little bit and to turn on your right glute. So this is gonna feel really nice all along the right hip. You're gonna get some opening right where the hip joint kind of meets the core. And then from here, extend your right arm all the way up. And then you're going to take your left hand, you're gonna grab for the gap right between your hand and your wrist bone and just give a little pull here. So this is wrist gapping. You're creating space in that wrist joint. Keep that right glute turned on. And then go ahead and let that go. Come back onto the pelvis and then drop both knees over to the right. Left hand comes to the top of the left hip. Press into the left foot to lift that left hip bone, turning on your left glute and squeezing here. And then left arm extends, right hand grabs that wrist gap, little pull here. That's going to lengthen all along this left side body as well. And then go ahead and let that go and come back to our starting position, making sure everything is as much in alignment as we can find. Rib cage closed down, diamond draws in, hands come back to the back of the head. We've got one more set of core here. This time you're going to lift the legs up once again, but keeping the knees at 90 degrees. Now again, trying to be mindful of where you're stacking the knees, because too far or too close is going to tend to put the pelvis in a different position. So stacking those knees directly over the hips, elbows are in and up. Taking an inhale here. Exhale, lift the shoulder blades. Extend your right leg to about a 70-degree angle, and then take your upper body, your shoulders 2 inches to the left. Twist 2 inches to the left. Keep your left shoulder blade off of the floor. And then come back to center. Right leg comes in. Inhale, come down. Exhale, shoulder blades lift. Left leg extends. Shoulders rotate 2 inches to the right. Don't make this a big move. Just keep that right shoulder blade up off of the mat. And come back to center. Left leg in. Inhale, down. Exhale, lift, squeeze. Right leg extends, rotate 2 inches to the left. Left shoulder blade stays lifted. Back to center, right leg in, inhale, down. Exhale, lift, squeeze. Left leg extends, twist small to the left or to the right. And come back to center, left leg in. Adding on, inhale, come down. Keep that rib cage closed down. Exhale, lift up. Right leg extends. Right hand tracks to the outside of your left leg as you twist 2 inches to the left. Left hand grabs that wrist gap. Pull as you lift 1 inch higher. That is your deep core. And bring everything back to neutral and down. Inhale here. Collect the breath, collect your thoughts, collect your body. Exhale, lift up. Left leg extends, twist to the left, left arm to the outside of that right leg. Right hand catches that wrist gap. Little squeeze as you pull and lift a little higher. Try and keep that right shoulder blade off the ground. And come back to center and come on down. We're going to do that one more time each side. Inhale here. Exhale, lift, squeeze. This is a very challenging move. Right leg extends, right arm to the outside as you come into that little twist. Left hand grabs that wrist gap. Little pull. And come all the way back and down. And on your next exhale, exhale, lift the shoulder blades, lift the back of the head. Where is your gaze? Don't strain the neck. Twist over to the right. As you extend that left leg, left arm to the outside of the right leg, find that wrist gap, little pull, and come back through center. Inhale down, release those legs, release the feet, and then let's come into that twist again. So The knees drop over to the left, but we stay active. We press into the right foot, squeeze that right glute, reach the right arm up, find that wrist gap, extend through that right side body. And then come back through center, drop it over to the other side. Left glute is squeezing, turned on, extend up through the left arm, catching that wrist. And then come back through center. We're going to finish with a little bit of glute activation, of glute work here. Now, extend those arms. Once again, making sure you're set up. Heels are in line with the sits bones. Knees are in line with the hips. Now, we're going to place our hands on our pelvis once again. So heels of the hands go to those hip bones, creating our diamond shape, making sure that our pelvis is nice and neutral. Rib cage is closed down. Now from here, we're going to lift up into a bridge. So we want to squeeze the glutes and lift the hips, and we just go high enough so that we're very strong, very engaged, but our pelvis is still neutral. So one of the themes that we're going to be exploring in our practice is this idea that we can maintain our posture in a variety of shapes and a variety of forms. And then go ahead and come back down. Now, we're going to continue to do this a few times as you lift. Keep the back of the neck long, keep the rib cage closed down, pelvis stays nice and neutral. Also, come back to that imaginary prop, block, item in between your legs so that your inner thighs are turned on. That's also going to help activate the outer hips here. And come back down. Can you be neutral when you come down as much as when you lift up? Lift, squeeze, and neutral down. 3 more, just like that. Lift, and down. Lift up, and down. Place your hands on your ribs. Same thing, drive up. Does your rib cage stay neutral? And down. Go ahead and do 1 more. Lift it up. And down. Now hands go back to the hips. We're going to add on. So big stability, quite a bit of strength in this next move. We're going to lift up into that neutral bridge. And then you're going to see if you can lift your right leg up and keep your pelvis neutral. Tell your left glute to turn on. And right leg down. Left leg lifts. Hip flexion through that left leg. Right glute is on. And down. Hips come down. We're going to do 1 more set. Check in with the back of the neck. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Make sure that chin isn't up open too far. It's drawing down toward the sternum. Lift, squeeze. Right leg lifts. And right leg down. Left leg lifts. And left leg down. 1 more time each side. Walking it out. Right leg up. And right leg down. Right leg up. And right leg down. Release the hips down with a neutral pelvis. And then go ahead and bring the hands back to the sides of the rib cage. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Shoulder blades are nice and flat on the mat. And let's start to come back in, bringing our focus and attention back to the breath. Feeling the rib cage expand with the inhales, that belly stays relatively low, and exhale, squeezing everything in. Inhale. And exhale. And then go ahead and open up your eyes and come up onto your seat. And go ahead and cross one ankle in front of the other, cross one foot over the top of one side, just any way you can kind of sit comfortably here. And then go ahead and kind of check in with your posture, with your body. So pelvis, rib cage, and then find the floor with the back of the head. So we're trying to get everything stacked here in that neutral position. Lift up through the crown of the head a little higher. Closing down your eyes. It's so important to establish a functional foundation when it comes to our posture and how our bones are sitting within our body. Once we do that, if we can start from a more neutral position, then what we're going to find is that we will have greater freedom at the end range of our motion. So thank you for your mindfulness and for checking in with these different areas of the body. And we will continue to build on this foundation next time. Thank you for your practice. Namaste.